All right, welcome very much to the COVID-19 and the new HR rules, how to survive as a small business owner. I'd like to welcome everyone who has joined us for today's webinar and masterclass. And I am also very excited to be able to kind of help everyone navigate through all of the things that have been taking place, as you are all well aware of, over the last few days. So I am Cheryl Perez, and I'm the president and CEO of Big HR, and want to just have this opportunity, especially for existing Big HR clients, but we probably also have some non-current Big HR clients on the call. And our goal is to really dive into all of the craziness that we are all experiencing. A few housekeeping notes. Those of you who are on recognize that you do have the ability to go ahead and put your questions in our chat feature. Want to make sure that you guys know to go ahead, don't be shy. You can put your questions in at any point, and we are actually going to save them until the end. We're hopefully going to be able to allot a lot of time. My goal is to allow at least 25 minutes for Q&A, because we have a very special guest with us today that should be able to answer questions. And believe you me, even some pieces of this presentation that we've been preparing for all week are a little outdated, because some more things happened in the last 20 minutes probably, but definitely in the last 24 hours. We do have a couple of moderators, so don't worry. If you put your question in, we will be able to go and grab it. And if we do not get a chance to get directly into your question, we will have them and be following up with you via email to get those questions answered for you. Make sure that your phone or your computer is on mute, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So again, I'd like to welcome everyone and say thank you so much for taking your time to log into this masterclass. I think it's really important that we're able to get this information all out at once. And we really wanted to make sure that Big HR clients and friends had the information that they needed in order to get through the weekend with some decent rest at this point, because I don't know if you guys are feeling like I'm feeling, but with all the changes every single day, as a company and as an organization, it really is creating a little bit of stress for us. So as I mentioned, I'm Cheryl Perez, president and CEO of Big HR. And we also have an amazing guest with us today, Jazmyn Stover, who is a labor and employment attorney and partner with Fisher Phillips. Jazmyn is here to support what we're going to be going over today, but to really also provide you guys with some real, true, upfront, live answers. Fisher Phillips has been all over this, and I am so grateful to have them as partners in the services that we deliver at Big HR. They have been all over this topic. They've been an amazing resource, and I am just so grateful to have you here with us today, Jazmyn. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning, everyone. Happy to be here and looking forward to our conversation today.
Good. Are you staying safe?
Yes, I am social distancing, working from home, as is pretty much everyone else at our firm. But we are, of course, utilizing technology and doing conference calls and video chat and making sure that we are staying connected to all of our clients. I think I'm busier now than I was when I was in the office, as I'm sure many of you are feeling the same thing.
Amen to that. I feel like it has been a crazy busy time. I just want to say again, thank you. I know I mentioned this, but you guys have been amazing and all over this, because there's so much information coming from so many different areas. And so our brains are going nuts with all the information. And I am so appreciative to just be able to go to just one source and make sure that the information that I'm getting is correct and accurate. So thank you so much for all of your work that you're putting in to keep me and my team abreast of what's going on, so that we can then deliver things like this to our clients and to our friends out there.
Yeah, you guys are all very welcome. It has been great to be part of FP and the resources that we were all able to come together from all of our different practice groups. We created a COVID-19 task force that I think I know that you have found the resources really useful, but that we've been able to leverage our attorneys from across the nation and internationally, and come together and provide resources that are on point for different industries as well as state specific, and keeping up with the ever changing federal perspective as well.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. We're going to get started today so that we can allow some questions, be cognizant of everyone's time. So I really just wanted to make sure that we could review kind of what our learning objectives are today. And if you guys know that there are specific things that you wanted to learn, go ahead and put those in the chat in the comment, our moderators, and we'll take a look at them. But our focus really is to learn what we are currently up against as leaders in our organizations and small businesses, and specifically also to learn what does it mean? What are the workforce considerations that we should all be thinking about and that we should all be taking into consideration as we deal with this pandemic? We are also going to focus on communicating what the new HR rules are, because there are some pretty significant new ones. And then we're going to talk about how to get it done and provide everybody with some resources and some tools to be able to do that effectively moving forward. And also, I want to encourage everyone who is on the call today and actually made it. Oh, I just got a comment, Jazmyn. Yet you are very hard to hear. So maybe we could turn up your volume a little bit. A couple of folks chimed in, can't hear the attorney. Jazmyn's very hard to hear.
Okay, is that a little better?
Is that better, guys? Can you hear her now? Says a little.
Okay, I'm going to work on that.
Oh, well, you came in louder for me. Maybe you came in louder for everyone else. Yes, thank you. All right, perfect. That whatever you just did, Jazz, you're good.
Okay, I'll keep doing that.
Perfect. And everybody on the call, please stick around. We have a freebie for you at the end. It is going to be an amazing piece of information. And once we get through the question and answer, I'm going to go ahead and post that directly here in our webinar, and you guys will be able to download it in real time. So make sure you stick around till the end. And just so you guys know, everyone who registered for this webinar will be receiving a replay of the webinar that you can refer to. If you are a big HR client or someone who actually ends up working with us in our COVID-19 process, you will also have access to it through an online portal. But I want to make sure that everyone knows, in case you're here for someone else, or if someone else hasn't had a chance to log on, we will be actually sending out the replay for everyone as well. So now let's dive into kind of what we are up against, guys. And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this because we are getting so much data every single day. I think that we're all pretty well abreast of what this coronavirus is. But what we know right now is that the COVID-19 coronavirus started in the United States with its first case or recorded case on January 20th, 2020. And now we are sitting at March 20th, 2020. And as of Thursday, at 12 p.m. yesterday, we were at 9,415 confirmed cases and 140 deaths in our country. I did not get a chance to check this morning. I'm sure that number is probably up over 10,000 at this point. So 2 months, we've risen by 10,000, and that's a clear sign that we need to take necessary measures as a nation to help curb the spread of this disease that has kind of taken everyone by storm and surprised everyone. And our federal and state governments are instituting all kinds of things, mandatory closures and shutdowns, state by state. The news and information is rolling out daily, by the minute, by the hour. And there are also these rumors of a pending national quarantine period that could potentially be looming. I get the question all the time, is that really going to happen? We don't know what's really going to happen. My gut is telling me that that nationally they're going to, kind of defer to our states, and there are some governors who are taking those measures. Pennsylvania was one of the most recent states as of yesterday that really did come out and basically put out a statewide quarantine, saying only essential, life essential emergency businesses should actually be operating. So things are changing really rapidly and daily, and they are really seriously affecting all of us, especially as small business leaders. So what does all of this mean? I mean, what are the workforce considerations that we really need to be taking account into as we move forward with guiding our teams, running our businesses, and handling our human resources, especially from day to day. And really, I want to start with what OSHA guidance and what OSHA has classified as different workplace safety issues and concerns, and the type of roles that are being classified by our workplace safety organization. There are really 4 categories of classifications, and I wanted to make sure I touch on all of them because we could have clients or guests that have staff or employees in any of these categories. So you've got a very high exposure risk category, which is usually your healthcare employees or your healthcare and laboratory personnel, the ones who are handling the specimens, who are performing procedures on actual COVID-19 patients. They're very high risk for exposure. And then classified in the high exposure risk category are healthcare delivery and support staff who could also be exposed directly. And then medical transport folks, and then folks who are also performing autopsies and things like that. So those are all like critical folks in the high exposure area. Then we've got medium exposure risk folks, which are employees with high frequency contact with the general population. Those are schools, high population density work environments, and some high volume retail. So that's where your bars and your restaurants would also fall into that category. And then you've got what they've categorized as lower exposure risk industries that you still want to caution, but these are just employees who have minimal occupational contact with the general public and other coworkers, like office employees, and you can really have the opportunity to seclude yourself in those particular instances. So that gives you an idea of where the workplace safety issues come into play, and really what we expect if there are some type of statewide quarantines in Ohio specifically, that they're really looking at, limiting different types of businesses, right? And we've already seen some medium exposure risk businesses actually being mandated to close, like your restaurants and your bars and your barbershops and your hair salons. Those are medium exposure risk because they come in high contact. Your very high and high exposure risk, we don't expect those industries to be impacted by closures or mandates, only because those are the people on the front line helping to provide services to the patients. And the lower exposure risk is the category of folks that we expect to at the end be told in very necessary circumstances, a mandate of some type of closure or that type of a thing. So keeping that stuff in mind. So, the remote work is probably the basic steps in order for us to ensure our safety, regardless of the category that you're in, is factual here, right? So this is our focus. We want to minimize risks, and those are things that you're going to want to support your employees with. That means making sure that they don't have to have close social contact with one another's or with customers. And the recommendation there is to ultimately make a decision around what you're going to do as a company in order to minimize that social contact as much as possible, or limit the number of people that folks come in contact with. So you want to make sure that you can encourage the sick employees to stay home and to seek treatment. And we're going to dive into specifics surrounding the law and what you can do in those instances, because a lot of things have come out and rolled out in that area. And you want to also make sure that if you are at work and you are still open and you have not made work from home concessions yet or things like that, that you're able to provide resources to your employees in order to provide them with basic steps to ensure their safety and minimize their risk. So things like if employees are in a role or a position where they can work from home, making sure that they have the necessary technology tools in place in order to effectively do their jobs and to keep your business running and functioning effectively. And then also providing them with sanitation supplies while they are at work. So you want to ensure that your employees have ample facilities to wash their hands, third-party cleaning, custodial schedules, that you increase those, that you evaluate your remote work from home capacities and policies. And we're going to talk a little bit about what those should and can look like. here shortly. But if you can, switch to a teleconference mode or use other remote work tools in lieu of meeting in person, we encourage you to do those things. You also might want to think about things like considering staggering your employees, their starting times and their departing times, along with lunch and break periods to kind of minimize overcrowding, and make sure that you've got a single point of contact available for your employees for all issues that they may have arise that may come up relating to their health and safety. So those are really some key tips and tools. And when I say supplies at work, I know that hand sanitizer is short right now. It's hard to come by. I know that Lysol is hard to come by. I know that Lysol wipes are hard to come by. But if you had the opportunity to have those things, small things like some of the stuff that we're instituting even here at our office is every hour or so, I will have everybody, I'll say, okay, everybody stand up, take a break. Let's, sanitize our workstations. Let's spray everything down, give everything time to dry out, spray everything with Lysol, and just keeping their areas clean at the beginning of every day and at the end of every day. So those are some things that you can also do. So I know I've mentioned remote work, and I'm getting a lot of questions from our clients and from non-clients about what this actually looks like and what they are responsible for doing. So I want to make sure I can touch on this as well. And if you have questions about this, you can start throwing them in to our chat, and we'll make sure that we're getting to them. But remote work is really kind of the biggest recommendation that we're hearing come out of every single organization and government entity. Instead of shutting your business down in order to avoid social contact, begin to think about ways to institute a remote work policy. And some major considerations with your remote work policy is, hey, my loves, don't mean to cut you off, but obviously this masterclass is going to get good. And as we were recording it today, so many amazing questions came up from the galley, so many things, so much great feedback and input from our attorney partner that it really did go on quite a bit of time. So we do dive very much so into what a remote work from home policy should look like, what steps you should take. And obviously we dive very, very deep into the new Coronavirus Family First Act that was just signed into law by our president this past Wednesday, about 48 hours ago. So I do encourage you to continue to go through this masterclass. Obviously, any video that is going to be, or CPTV episode that's going to be over an hour, I caution against actually posting here on the channel. So what I'm going to do is actually post a link down below this video for you to click on and be able to tune in real time and see the rest of the masterclass. That's important. I think it's important information. I want you to definitely have access to it. And so I want to make sure that we can provide it from that perspective. And if you click that link, you're going to be able to pick a time that's good for you to actually participate in the masterclass. And you can submit your questions either below in the comments or directly in that masterclass as you continue to watch it. And we'll be able to receive it via email and respond with answers to your questions. There's also going to be a couple of links down below this video that include access to a COVID-19 toolkit that we have been putting together specifically to help out small businesses, as well as our HR plan guide to an HR plan, along with a sample infectious diseases policy that I recommend all small businesses put in place if you don't already have one in your employee manual. So all those links are going to be below this video, and the rest of the masterclass being able to view it by clicking the link below. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode of CPTV. We are going to get back to work because we are working around the clock to combat all of our small business HR needs that are out there. And we should be back on Tuesday, obviously, to see you again with our regularly scheduled episode of CPTV. And I just hope that you guys take this Corona pandemic very seriously. Do everything you can to keep yourselves and your teams safe. And have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye, guys. Mwah.